Okay, let's just jump right in. This is the question that's everywhere right now, right? It's splashed across every headline, it's being whispered in boardrooms. Is this whole AI gold rush about to go bust? I'm sure you've heard that phrase 100 times. The AI bubble is about to burst. But what does that even mean? Are we talking about a stock market crash? Or are we talking about the technology itself just stopping? In this explainer, we're going to untangle the hype from what's actually happening. And let's be real for a second, the hype is absolutely off the charts. To even begin to understand the scale of what's happening, all we really have to do is look at one of the biggest players in the game, Google. $3 trillion. I mean, that number alone is just staggering. That's Google's market cap, a milestone that only a tiny handful of companies have ever reached. But it's not just the number, it's the sheer speed of the growth that really tells the story. So, to put that into perspective for you, the value Google added in just 5 months is more than the entire value of Tesla. Just let that sink in for a second. That is an absolutely meteoric rise, and it's pretty much all fueled by excitement around AI. And this isn't just, Wall Street getting excited. It's actually translating to real users. Their Gemini app recently just shot up to the #1 spot in the App Store, overtaking massive platforms that we all use every single day. So what was the secret sauce? What was this big breakthrough that got everyone on board? A new coding feature? Some amazing research tool? Nope. It was viral image generation. For ChatGPT, it was making everything look like a Ghibli movie. And for Gemini, it was that weird nano banana meme. It turns out the single biggest driver of user adoption right now isn't some complex utility, it's just fun. But for every action, there's a reaction. And alongside this incredible hype, a counter-narrative has been growing. The skepticism is getting a lot louder, and it's being fueled by some pretty serious legal challenges and even warnings from the insiders themselves. So from the outside, you've got these major publishers like Penske Media, they own places like Rolling Stone and Billboard, and they're suing Google. They're basically arguing that AI search is just stealing their journalism, repackaging it, and then cutting off the web traffic that actually funds their work. And then on the inside, you have people like Dimas Hassabis, who's the CEO of Google DeepMind, coming out and publicly saying that the idea that today's chatbots have PhD-level intelligence is just nonsense. He points out that they can still get simple high school math problems wrong. And when the leader of the pack is telling you to cool your jets, people definitely listen. Okay, so we've got all this conflicting information flying around. To figure out if this AI bubble is really going to burst, we first need to agree on what a bubble actually is, because the word gets thrown around a lot. At its core, a financial bubble is all about valuation. It's when the price tag on something, whether it's stocks, houses, or hey, even tulips back in the 1600s, gets totally disconnected from its actual fundamental worth. It's all about investor excitement, not necessarily about the thing itself. And listen, this right here, this is probably the most important distinction we need to make. A financial bubble is completely different from what researchers call an AI winter. A bubble bursting, that affects investors' wallets. An AI winter, that's when the technological progress itself just stalls out, affecting the entire field of research. They're not the same thing, and that difference is everything. And let's be honest, financial bubbles are nothing new. We've seen this movie before, right? We saw it with Tulip Mania, we saw it with the dot-com bust back in 2001, and of course the housing market crash in 2008. The question everybody's asking now is whether AI is just the next one on that list. But here's the thing, what really matters is what's left after a bubble pops. Tulips? Well, they were still just flowers. Pretty, but financially useless. But after the dot-com bust, the internet didn't just disappear, it became essential to everything we do. And people still needed houses after 2008. The underlying utility was still there. So for AI, that's the real multi-trillion-dollar question. And this brings us to the technology itself, because when you actually look past the roller coaster of the stock market and you look at the real progress being made, well, the evidence doesn't point to a slowdown at all. If anything, it looks like it's accelerating. I mean, just forget the stock prices for a second and look at what's happened in just the last few months. OpenAI has a coding model that nearly beat every single human competitor. Google is mapping out a whole virtual economy for AI agents. We are seeing major breakthroughs in reducing hallucinations, and AI is already speeding up real scientific discovery. This does not look like an AI winter, not at all. Okay, so let's go back to that quote from Dimas Hassabis. Remember? Everyone heard the part where he said AI isn't there yet.
but they kind of missed the real bombshell. What he actually said was that we are likely only 5 to 10 years away from artificial general intelligence, AGI. That is not a sign of a slowdown. That's a mind-bogglingly ambitious and concrete timeline.
So where does that leave us? What's the real takeaway here? If all the financial hype is one story, and the actual technological progress is a completely different story, which one should we be paying attention to? And here's a thought: what if a cool down is actually what we need? Well, it means we need to learn to ignore the day-to-day stock market chart. That's just noise. The real signal is the progress chart, that steady upward march of what this technology can actually do. A financial bubble might pop, sure, but the underlying utility, just like the internet before it, is only going to grow. And this leads to a pretty fascinating idea. What if all this fear about a bubble popping is completely backward? What if a little bit of a cool down in the financial frenzy is actually phenomenal news? Think about it. That 5 to 10-year timeline to AGI, that's actually a super crucial window. It gives researchers time to solve critical safety problems, like figuring out what the heck is even happening inside a neural net before the technology becomes vastly more intelligent than we are. A slower, more deliberate pace isn't a failure. It could be a massive win for AI safety. So, is the AI bubble about to burst? You know what? Maybe. But who cares? A dip in stock prices doesn't change the actual trajectory of the technology. The real question was never about the bubble, it's about the progress. And that leaves us with a much more important question to think about. If the hype is just a distraction, what are the breakthroughs that are truly going to shape our future?